This is Believing Buckeyes. I'm Brian Browning with All-American quarterback Chindy Chekwa. This show is brought to you by Bet Online. Chim, Olympics is over, man. What they got to bet on out there?
Yeah, Olympics is over, but the good thing is football is starting, right? So BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and the number one source for everything football. You can get in on a winner-take-all $300,000 NFL Survivor pool for the upcoming season. BetOnline, use the promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, get in on the action. BetOnline where the game starts.
And if you have any issues with gambling, always feel free to reach out to 1-800-GAMBLER. They're 24/7 to help you out with anything you may need in that category. But, hey, Chim, today is a good day. It's a good day, man. I know we're getting old, but we got to go out there today and watch the young man perform while they was at camp, watch our team, the Ohio State Buckeyes, go out there and put some good work in, man. How did it feel, man, to kind of be back in that environment? I mean, the season's only a few weeks away, man. How did it feel? Did you get those goosebumps, man?
Nah, no goosebumps, man. No goosebumps. I did enjoy getting to see some of the guys we played with that were at practice. And, it was always good to catch up, get to see some of the older guys that I didn't even grow up watching, right? That old, right?
Yeah.
But, getting to meet some guys that I didn't know, getting to talk to some guys that I see, here and there, and also getting to watch the team play and compete against each other and kind of gauge where they're at. I mean, we don't have a huge sample size to really have the most informed take. But you at this stage in training camp, they've been through a week of camp. They've had a scrimmage or whatever. So guys kind of are in their flow, right? They put in all the initial installs and stuff. So now it's they're moving towards what they're going to be here in the next couple of weeks. So it was good. It was good to kind of take that in and see where they're at.
Yeah, I would just have to. Yeah, I second that, man. It was just good to get back out there. It was always great to see the guys, some of the guys you played with, that you get to see, not so often, right? You see them around town here or there. Good to see guys, but for me, it was just fantastic just to be around some football, man. It was just, I don't know, man. It was a great feeling, kind of going out there, watching the guys warm up, full pads, right?
Yeah.
No shorts or no tagging or anything like that today. Kind of going out there and really competing and hearing some cracking of the pass, and man, that's the guys out there. So.
Yeah, and I was tired of reading storylines, right? I kind of want to see for myself because you know how it is, man. At this point, people have been so hungry and thirsty for football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we overanalyze every social media post of a catch or interception or play made, et cetera, et cetera. You see it even in the NFL, right?
Yep.
Every rookie quarterback is getting overanalyzed for one preseason game, et cetera, and everybody's telling the future of what they're going to be. But still, even this one practice is still small sample size. But it was good to be able to get my eyes on it and kind of see, where are they at? Which brings me to the next point is, quarterback competition. Something we've been talking about in camp here is that they have not named a starting quarterback yet. I am here to announce that I have named a starting quarterback, and I don't think it's a competition at this point. And with all due respect to Devin Brown as well, who I love, I think he's continuing to grow as a player. But I think for this year, just as a leader and why they brought him in here, Will Howard is the guy, and I don't think it's truly a competition. I think we're just getting everybody ready to play because you're going to need everybody going into this season, especially with a playoff.
Yeah. And Will Howard definitely did some good things today. He definitely looked like he's the leader of the team. But I'm gonna go back to what you just said. It was just one practice, man. It was just one practice. It was just one practice, and we still see, Devin Brown did not have a bad day of practice, and he's still, I would say, right now he's probably has the best ability of stretching the field when it comes to his deep ball and kind of getting out there and getting in front of guys with his placement down the field. And we know that essentially that's a staple of Coach Day's offense, right? I know Chip is there now, and he likes to run the ball, and that looks great. Our running backs look fantastic. But Coach Day likes to kind of wing it and kind of get it downfield to kind of back defenders up and let them know that, at any given moment, we can kind of go over your head for a big play. And that's something that I feel like Devin Brown may be the best at doing that. So one practice that we got to see today, Will Howard looked fantastic. Devin Brown didn't look bad to me at all. The rest of the guys, I feel like there's a gap for the rest of the guys. Julian Sand, made some plays, but he's a true freshman, so he did some freshman things of that nature. Lincoln had the ball in his hand a lot, and also we got to see Aaron Nolan kind of roll around and do some things as well. So I mean, the competition is the competition. I would like for them. I said go into practice. I said by the end of this week, because they, usually when they kind of get out the hotel, because they have like a big press conference, call it, make a decision, and let's live with it. Regarding quarterback, also regarding offensive line, I think there was a lot of movement there as well on the offensive line today, and so yeah, make some decisions. Live with it. Let the team have some time to digest it and understand exactly who they'll be playing with, exactly what's going to be taking place once the season kicks off, and we go from there.
Yeah, and they can name a starter, but I think the team feels like they know who the starter is at this point. I think it's really evident, and I think the coaches know. So, I mean, to that point, they should go ahead and name a starter if they do know. But, I agree with the fact that when it comes to pushing, the one thing I haven't seen from Will Howard, throughout all the football he's played at Kansas State, and even through, off season when I was able to make the practice, and today when we went to camp, is I haven't seen a lot of pushing that ball down the field, a lot of the deep balls. I'm sure he could throw them, but the contrast between him and Devin Brown is like Devin Brown throws it deep and pushes it downfield. It feels like a lot. Mm-hmm. And the challenge typically for him is some of the intermediate throws, being able to, be accurate underneath and making those decisions. To me, it's almost the opposite for Will Howard, where he seems like he has good command of the offense. He can make the throws across the field. He can make the right decision, but he may not be pushing the ball down the field in the same way. And, back when they last won the championship, I remember JT Barrett was having a great year before he got injured. But the one thing that was missing from that team, that was a team that was built to win the national championship. I mean, they had a really good team, right? Mm-hmm. That year and the year after. But the one thing that was missing was just being able to push that ball down the field, those explosive plays. And when JT went down, I was interested to see Cardell come in because I knew he had a strong arm. I knew he could throw it downfield. So I was interested to see how it was going to go. And it seemed like the first play, boom, threw the ball downfield, and the rest was history. So that's one thing, if there's one knock, I would say, or one thing that is still a question for me, even though I do believe Will Howard's going to be the starter, is his ability to throw the ball downfield, because we have the offensive players and the big playmakers to do it, to get open, different than Kansas State. But we also have an offensive head coach who likes, as you mentioned, likes to, create those explosive plays, likes to draw up those big plays, and those are difference makers in a game. So that's going to be something to kind of watch throughout the year to see, can Will Howard be able to make those? Sometimes only 3 or 4 a game, but does he can he connect on those and make it happen?
Yeah, and let's be frank. I mean, if you connect on 1 a game, right, you hit a bomb a game, that's enough, right? That's enough. Usually like that's a threat. We got to protect against the deep ball. And I say this, I don't know if Will Howard can make that throw or not, right? Obviously I know Devin Brown can, right? He makes that throw pretty easily. But I would say this, no matter who's at quarterback, throwing it up to Jeremiah Smith deep, your chances of success go holds up a lot, man. I say that for sure. So whether it's that part of Will Howard's game or not, when in doubt, we'll figure out a way to throw it up at Jeremiah Smith. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to turn into a very high percentage play, especially after seeing him today out there at fall camp. That's for sure.
Agreed.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, man, but I guess I kind of want to dive into the offensive line. Obviously, we talked about it before. We got a lot of experience up front, right? We got a lot of starters returning, being led by Donovan Jackson, who's been playing essentially 4 years, a 4-year starter, um, essentially 4-year starter here at Ohio State. Returning left tackle, returning right tackle, who brought in Seth from Alabama, who's been starting in the last couple of seasons there. So we know the real competition on that offensive line is that right guard position, and we're still seeing some rotation there. Still seeing Tegra Shabola getting some reps there. Also, Carson Hinsman. I feel like it's really down to those two. I spoke about it before. I feel like just due to experience in this team, Hinsman has the playing experience, right? He started the whole season last year at the center position, so that's who my pick to kind of plug in there, and we can kind of have Tegra as that swing man. We know he can play guard, right? We're watching him do it now, but historically he's been playing tackle for Ohio State. He's been in competition at right tackle, been competition at left tackle, so he could kind of definitely fill in that role as being that sixth man as an offensive line unit. But the competition is still on there, and I got to, I guess, get my eyes on them. And it's funny, it's like they're two different players, but both works when it really comes down to it.
Yeah.
Tegra's a longer, lengthier guy, right? Once again, like I said, he's usually at that tackle position. Carsman, he's 6'5", but he just feels a little bit smaller, a little bit stockier when he's in at that guard spot. And they both do things well. They both definitely got some things to work on. But it'd be interesting to kind of see, once again, my opinion, make a decision by the end of this week, as then we roll with it and kind of take it from there. Did you have any concerns?
Yeah, I don't. So it's interesting because I talk about connecting with the former players at practice. I think one of the questions I kind of asked guys as I talked to them was, I mean, what do you feel good about? What don't you feel good about? And everybody's concern is the offensive line. And I'm not as concerned about the offensive line. Like, I'm really not this year. And I think, if there's one criticism that I have for Ryan Day, right? And there's no head coach in college football that doesn't have something to critique, right?
Yeah.
But if there's one criticism I have about Ryan Day, it's always that, like, when there's an issue during the season, it just seems like they don't get it all the way fixed, and it comes up in the big games towards the end of the season. But one thing that has been consistent is that issue that's happening during the season. Most of the time, he fixes it in the offseason. And I think the offensive line and just the offense in general, what they struggled with, quarterback, offensive line, I think those things were points of emphasis, and those things are getting fixed. And I think bringing in Chip Kelly is a big part of that. I think just being able to look at the film from last year and understand what the issue was, and it wasn't talent. So it wasn't a talent issue, which means that coaches should be able to fix it. And I think the coaches will have it fixed. I think the players, as you mentioned, have some experience now. They'll be better in their operation. So I'm not as concerned about the offensive line. I do think they need to have 6, 7 guys that they feel strongly about. And I think they do, honestly. Yeah. I think they do. And I think this team is built to win a national because of that offensive line, because I think that's fixed, because I think Will Howard is going to be a decent leader of that offense, and because of the coaching staff, because Ryan Day has given up the play call and then brought in somebody you trust. I think this team is built to win a national championship this year. It doesn't guarantee that they win it.
Right.
All right? Because it's football. You still got to play the games. But they have every piece in place to go get their first win against their team up north in the past 4 years, or I'm losing count. How many times? The last time we beat them, right?
Yeah, that sounds crazy. Right. Yeah.
But all the pieces are in place to go on a run because of the experience on the team, because of the experience in the coaching staff, and because of the experience, or at least the trials and challenges that Ryan Day has gone through and what he's learned from, and now his ability to step away from the play calling duties and head the team in a way where he can start solving some of those issues that pop up during the season. So I really feel good. I really feel good about this team going into the season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this team, like, the talent is off the charts. The experience is off the charts. And when it comes down to it, is what this season is going to come down to is like all seasons, right? We're going to check a lot of boxes. We're going to win a lot of games. We're going to score a lot of points. But our defense, we're not going to give up a lot of points. But obviously, it's going to come to a couple of games where, the score it's tight, right? And things maybe has not been going our way all game, and just gonna have to figure out a way to get it done. All right, and there's every season this is going to come up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Oregon game, maybe it doesn't pop up to the Michigan game, maybe it's the Iowa game, our first real challenge of the season. But if essentially it's going to come up, and we're just going to have to kind of battle it out, figure it out. Lean on our leaders, right? Our leaners and our experience, and kind of go out there and figure out how to get the job done.
So let me ask you. So we watched practice, and it felt like the defense kind of dominated practice in general. Like offense made some plays. Made some plays. But if you were to pick a winner, I thought it wouldn't be close. I didn't think it was like. I don't think it was like a 50-50 match. You may have saw a different practice.
Yes,
I didn't think it was like 50-50, at least at the team period. From your perspective, in terms of offense, defense, did you feel good overall about the offensive performance and what they put out?
Yes, I would say that. And I guess the biggest thing is, like you say, you talk about team. Remember the last session of the day, they kind of had like I think they call it like move the ball session or something like that. And they had like a minute on the clock, no timeouts. They had to drive the ball to score a touchdown to win the game. And the number one offense was able to kind of go out there and execute and get that done. And I felt like that meant a lot, right? Obviously, you want to give it too much. So I'm not going to say who was at spots for that drive. But we was able to kind of get things executed. Get some first downs. It wasn't just like, we hit on they hit on the bomb and that was the end of it, but they actually executed. Got first downs. They were stopping the ball, stopping the clock to set the ball up, just like in a real game situation, and they kind of continued to execute until they was able to score. So, I seen enough. I remember last camp. We had a much different tune, after we had we went to go watch it, right? We kind of looking at the quarterbacks. I think we just kind of kept putting on the coach, like, it doesn't seem like he's getting enough out of these guys. But not this year, right? We seen big plays being made. We seen some consistent drives from our offense. And once again, it's just one day. And we was able to kind of get all that. I was joking with one of the guys on the sideline, one of the former guys we used to play with, and I was like, you remember how we used to do a drill like this against our defense, and like it would have been mayhem, like, right? Like, there's no way, no timeout, so we got to drive the ball and get a touchdown. Like, chances are if we didn't hit on some big play early, we probably weren't going to get that done, right? It was going to be a tag off sack. They were going to run the clock, put in some type of scramble situation, and it probably wouldn't have went through like that. So
if y'all did score.
Yeah,
our defensive coaches would have had a meltdown. It would have been nobody's focused. Y'all here, y'all on the Twitter and the face and you're like, come on, bro. Like,
they play TikTok dancing in the locker room. It'd have been mayhem. So it was live, right. I think the defense today, they had an emphasis on pressure. They had an emphasis on games up front with the D line. I feel like the offensive line handled it well, and once again, like I said, they put that drive together. So, I had a question for you. I mean, obviously, we got to watch the whole day, and we know the guys, right? We know the big name guys, the guys who are in competition on offense and defense. Did anyone stand out to you that you seen out there today that you was like, man, I didn't know this guy looked like this, or could play like this, or could make these type of plays? Anyone that you want to kind of, I guess, give a personal shout out?
Man, it's just so. Arthur Reese is a monster on the football field, man.
That's a former tar butter. Yeah.
It's just like you go out there, he's just in the middle of the field, that linebacker, and he is a beast. Like, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I don't know how the linebacker rotation is going to be. I don't know how much playing time he's expected to get, but I expect him to make play. And obviously, man, the defense has a lot of guys, a lot of talented guys. I think the X factor across the defense is going to be Jordan Hancock at that nickel position. I think he's a guy who doesn't get the level of, attention or notoriety as some of the other defensive backs because he's kind of playing in that inside position. But, man, I think his leadership and his ability to be all over the field and make plays is going to be huge for this defense. And in the same way, those linebackers, those young linebackers as well, are going to be a key. So a guy like Arthur Reese, depending on how much he plays, man, he could be really, really impactful, blitzing, dropping in coverage, etc. in the middle of the defense. So man, I'm excited about this defense. A lot of guys stand out, but yeah, I think those linebackers and Jordan Hancock are going to be some key contributors for this team to really get to where they want to get to.
Yeah, and I got a shout out too, man. First off, is obviously we know our wide receiver room is always ridiculous, right? It's just, and I feel like once again we're in a spot where we just got too many wide receivers. Good luck trying to figure out how all these guys gonna play. But obviously we had the big name guys, right? Jeremiah Smith, Ibuka, Carnell Tate. I wanted to shout out Brandon Ennis. Brandon Ennis, obviously, this is going to his second year, so he'll be a sophomore this season. Man, he just seems like a guy that could find a soft spot in the defense. He's has excellent body control, catching the ball with his hands, and I just hope, like I said, we'll see. I don't know how much playing time he'll get, right? Because just the room is stacked once again.
Yeah.
But I just think he's the guy that's out there special. And also Devontae Armstrong, offensive tackle from the Cleveland area. This will be his first season. He came in early
freshman
for spring ball, so kind of feel like he's been here a while. But no, this is going to his first season, man. I see just good things out of him, out of his set, out of his hand placement, how he is handling contact and speed around the edge. I just think he kind of flashed at me when we're watching the young offensive linemen and seeing what they brought to the table. That's for sure. Well, yeah,
So-
I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, the rankings.
Oh yeah,
Rankings are out, right?
Yeah,
and Ohio
man.
State is number 2 behind Georgia.
Mhm.
I think Oregon's what, 3?
3.
And then you keep going through the Big Ten. I think the next team in that top 10 is Penn State, right?
Penn State at 8. And that was gracious and put Michigan at 9.
Michigan at 9. Penn State at 8. So Penn State is a perennial 8 to 10 team. Like, this is just who they are, right? They're gonna start probably around there, somewhere between 5 and 10. They're gonna end somewhere around between the 6 and 10 mark. That's just who they are. They are a second tier team across the board. And I talk about it a lot, but I don't know if it's I talk about it like I'm slighting Penn State. But sometimes you just gotta be comfortable where you're at. Right?
Mhm.
Because you get rid of a coach, you try to get to the next level, and you end up being Nebraska, and you can never make it back to that level. So so Penn State remains consistent even with all the Pac-12 teams coming into the Big Ten. They still, sit right there in that second tier. And Oregon and Ohio State lead the bunch.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess this is kind of pretty much what's expected, right? Obviously, we know Georgia has been a juggernaut these last handful of years, so they get the 1 spot. Ohio State returning a lot. We get 2. Oregon's at 3. I feel like you could have asked anybody in college football, they would have came up with 1 through 5. Texas at 4, Alabama at 5.
Yeah.
Not really, and I'm not gonna say this. I was really looking at the list. It's really just like the usual suspects, right? I mean, looking across college football, these are the teams that you tend to hear. Iowa did make the list out the Big Ten, and they put them right at that 25 spot because they know, like we know, Iowa's going to figure out a way to win some games and keep themselves in it. Only thing I guess I'll say is a little bit surprising here, looking at this list, is, and I know they don't play great defense, but I guess LSU being at 13, to me, it just feels like a little low for them because we know that they'll figure out Brian Kelly will have them competitive in some big games, and they're going to beat some teams. That's for sure.
Yeah, LSU is at like every 3 year they're going to compete. They're going to compete to win it all type thing. So they have to fix the defense. They got the new defensive coordinator from Missouri, who I like, who I think is going to have the defense at least from a like a discipline standpoint. As a solid defense, and they got to get some guys. They've had guys in certain positions that have been transferring in, transferring out, that they have to figure that part out. So that's going to be the SEC to me. Always shuffles around like that third team. That third team always moves.
Yeah.
And with Saban leaving, I think Alabama still stays up there. Georgia still stays up there, and that third team probably this year will be LSU. That'd be something.
Yeah, we'll see. But I guess one thing else I would say about the USC is USC is all the way down to 23, And if you're USC, I mean, that kind of has to they got to do something. That got to kind of fire you up to try to do a little something. You're in a new conference. Also, we know who the coach is and what type of statue he was brought in, and they bring back the winning ways to USC. But you're looking at a list where you got the Oklahoma States, the Kansas States, the Utahs ahead of you in ranking. That should do a little something to you to kind of go out there and try to have a good year. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it should. I think Michigan, USC, and Iowa are a lot closer than what the rankings say. And I'm not 100% on my Michigan take, but I don't feel like they may end up in the top 10, but I just think those teams are a lot closer in competition in terms of where they're those games that they play. To me, can go either way. I think the main reason why I say that is because of the quarterback situation at Michigan. I don't think they know who the quarterback is. I think they're going into it a lot how Ohio State went into it last year, where we're going to pick a guy, but we're not sure he's a guy. But guess what? We got to pick somebody because the season's starting, and we're going to have to roll with somebody, and that's who's going to be. They benefit from the run game, strong run game, where get the quarterback involved in that run game, and maybe they can win a lot of games without having to do a lot throwing the ball. So depending on how much they continue to have that very strong run game, and how much they can lean on that in defense to win games, that's going to determine where they end up. But
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I got Michigan with 4 losses, man, and I'm sticking to it until I see otherwise. But yeah, 4 losses for Michigan this year, not making the playoffs. But that's our show for the day, man. That's our show for the day. We like to end all our shows with an
IO.
Go Bucks. Catch us next time, and make sure you follow us.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.